Hi class, I just wanted to give you some video feedback for your professional site. You will most likely have me again in web design, I hope. And so you'll bring this with you and we will look at it again. Some of you may totally revamp it. Some will not have touched it for a year, but that's okay too. So first, everybody's doing a really great job. I want to just jump in as if I haven't looked at these. I have a little bit, but I'm going to look at them as a first-time user. I'll try to go as quick as I can so that you can watch all of them. That is the most helpful. I have about 5 in this batch. Okay. All right, Dolph, I really love your concept. I can't say I've seen a lot of things, a lot of the women support movement embrace this type of angle, and I really, really appreciate it. I think it's a very powerful message that you have and that you're sharing, so good job there. The text here for the about, little tiny, a little hard to read. Both of these are rather light colors in some ways, so either more contrast, but definitely a little bigger. We try to have at least 16 points text size on our on websites. A lot of that will depend on the type of font that we're using and whether the strokes are thin or not. And so do keep that in mind. I feel like there's a little more space here than there needs to be. You might even be able to pull this whole thing up a little bit and maybe take up just a little room here and just even less here. Okay, love the image. It's really beautiful. Okay, don't usually see the name above like that, but that's fine. It's working. It keeps everything nice and in a grid and aligned, so great there. Do update your copyright date. All right. Let's see. I can read your navigation on this page. A little harder on this page, but not bad at all. I do find this to be a very beautiful background. I'm sure it's stock. Just make sure that you're very careful about that. What's really great is if you can recreate a similar image. Not easy to do sometimes. Not that you can't use stock. Do look at the wording of this. I know sometimes we're tired or we're in a hurry. Maybe English isn't even our first language, but do go ahead and put this through Grammarly or Language Tool so it can help you word that. Okay. Just to be specific, teaching and rebuilding the strong women how. Okay, that's how to be. It's the rebuilding, teaching strong women how to would be, more appropriate, or teaching strong women how to rebuild or embrace life from their soft power. It's a great idea, but they're not complete. So when I click on these, there's an unfinished page. So in a lot of ways, this page will need to be disabled before you launch it for sure, until, live on the web, until you actually complete everything. So we never have a page that is incomplete, whether it's a blog or a service page. And I know this is your working skeleton, and it's amazing. I really, really like it. I love the direction you're going in. I love your color palette. Those are just details that we'll talk about again next year. Very nice. And same thing here. A little hard to read. Okay. Yeah. And you're correct here about a bachelor. Full Sail does give a Bachelor of Science. It's not a Bachelor of Arts. And it may be, I think one of the distinctions may be that we don't teach languages. I'm not sure. I'd have to brush up on that. But there are distinctions, of course, between a Bachelor of Arts and a Bachelor of Science. And that's what we provide, if anybody is wondering. Okay, next year we'll look at your mobile. Okay, not right now. You'll probably cut that down, but next year we will, and you'll see it's not hard. You'll change some colors and things like that, and some things may move around, but it it will populate by itself. So you have that. All right, great start. All right, Stephanie, we'll want to, this is everybody. It's really tough when we use these sliders. When we log on the page, we're going to have that cut off. So something to keep in mind, is the slider best for logos? Maybe if everything is, it's just an idea. Looks great here, and looks great here because, you know, it doesn't feel like it's absolutely cutting something off. So great job here. Love that you used this template perfectly. You renamed your images. Everyone needs to rename their files when they're uploading. So terrific job here. Yeah, this is the only one that doesn't seem to fit with these. I really love these. In fact, I'm not sure you need this one. It doesn't quite fit. I remember that assignment, but this one is yours. So I would start with this and just have those two until you have something else that's very much like that. The mock-ups are working for you, okay? But you did a terrific job, and we'll go over these again next year in depth. Good. Colors are working well too. The purple, well, that's up to you. You don't have a lot of purple in your work, but who's to say what the year will bring? Okay. Terrific. I remember this image. I know I've seen it. Now, a CV is usually something that's reserved for academics, for long research papers and a list of books maybe they've published. It's in our field or in entertainment, we use more of the resume or work experience. Or projects. So that just means that you want to rename this label. Okay, sorry, it's early. Yeah. Okay, Bachelor of Science, good job. All right. Okay. Good. Good. And we'll look at more later, little details, but this is really great. Terrific. I really like this as a lead. I think that and that. This one is kind of the outlier because it's the only vertical. It works, but I think this is going to lead well. If these are your shots. If they're not, if it's an editing project, I'm trying to see, then maybe you do want to lead with your original. And we'll talk further about derivative works and things. And let's see, how about the only thing that I see missing that you'll need will be your social media. And I know a lot of us don't feel like spending our time there, but at least LinkedIn, because employers and people who want to work with you will definitely check you out. So at least have a LinkedIn, and I recommend a LinkedIn and an Instagram. Okay, but definitely a LinkedIn for your professional resume, and it's a great place to store all of your work history so that you'll remember that later. It'll be there. Okay, great job. All right, Robert, nice. I really like this logo. I wonder if it should be perhaps centered, but those are details. A little hard to read this, a little hard to read the navigation text, but these are all things we'll look at again. And great shots. Let's see. Good job down here with your copyright. Okay. We'll try not to have the same images but that's something you can look at, further down the road. And, because it's a little shorter, it sort of leaves a gap here, but these are things you'll look at a little later. Okay, this is template, so that's kind of an issue there. You'll want to remove all of that, okay? And you can just click those containers and blocks and remove them. Okay. A little space is a little overdone with the space, and the column would need to be wider. Maybe bring it over here. Maybe 3 columns. You might have a little more to add next year, but it's a good place for it. And you'll close this up. Well, a little bit because you have that white space, but we'll talk more about that. Okay. Now, if I click on these, the first one, the others. Okay, so what you're going to do is give each one their own description, and you can either, have 2 lines here, 2 lines here, 2 lines here, or if this is the kind of template gallery that you can click on and it will open up and give you some information, you can do that. You see when we roll over and pause, we get the screenshot 2022. You want to make sure you rename those files and name it, Rock the Party. And this one, Naturist, okay? And so on. Okay, a little hard to read the pink on purple there, but otherwise, you're doing great, and you'll need to add some social media too, especially as an entertainer. All right, terrific start. Can't wait to see these again next year. Okay. Anine, I really liked where you're going with this. Okay. Something is loading, so either, if it is loading, there is it's a little large file, so it's taking a long time to load if something is here. Perhaps it is an Instagram gallery, I'm not sure. And these will link up to yours. We won't need that. Be careful with phone numbers and maps. If you want to have this, maybe something a little smaller just as a reference somewhere, but to take up or to use up so much of your valuable space, you're going to want that. You're going to need that space eventually. But yeah, you'll close up all this or remove that. Okay. You'll bring that down. And I did like your about paragraph. Good job. We want to be, there's a little more space here than there is here. So, you'll want to fix that. Make sure you're using the same style fonts, right? If this is a header of sorts, it's kind of difficult to separate it from this. So, a little bit of text hierarchy. And for everyone, we want to try and not have one word on the line. Sometimes it's because it's dynamic, or rather it's responsive, but that doesn't appear to be the case. And we're just going to name a link here, and you'll embed videos so that we're not sending people off your site. That's for everybody. Okay, nice. Okay. I really like where you're going with this, and you're being very consistent with the black background and the black and white. You'll work that out. You'll have a lot more. People are a little concerned at this stage in their degree, whether or not they have enough work, but you're going to have work by the time I see you again. You will have created a lot more. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see. So, yeah, everybody so far is in a really great starting place, right? Well done. Okay, Anthony, really cool what you're doing. Always showcase as well, and you've hooked up your social media. That's good. I recommend, unless this is a Google Voice, take that off, and let's reword this. It's just the template, I know, but it says create creative, and those two words just don't sit well with me. They're very redundant. So reword that to something that you might say. Let's see, and we'll remove this. That'll be the first thing you'll do. Let's see. Okay. We're going to talk about something. I just want to make sure, because it'll be the last thing we'll talk about. Okay. This particular template, you'll update your logo here, replace that template logo, but this is one of those where the font has a very thin stroke, and so it makes it hard to read. You'll want to change that text style, and this is a great opportunity for me to tell you that you can do that in Wix in your theme manager. The icon on the left with your A and the little color drop, when you go in there and select customize, you can choose the text or the color. So you would just use text, select the text, and when you do, you can find this in your list that they are using, and you can change it, and it will change everywhere that exists. Okay, so it's a style feature. So once you find something that actually works well with this, then you can just replace it in the theme. Here's the other thing. If you're not sure what fonts work well together, because themes do try and set two that do work well together, and they do, just hard to read, then just do a search, do a Google search for font pairs, and you'll get several that will look well together. Usually what they've done here is they have a kind of a bold sans serif with a script serif. See, it's not, has all our little strokes on those particular letters, and that makes it more of a serif. So if you just want to look up another serif that's a little easier to read, then that will work for you. Okay, so the only other thing I want to talk about here is to be sure that you are very careful about your derivative works, and that we don't assume that we are able to use these things in your tribute videos. Okay, because, and I've sent you a link on that to look at further, so that you don't get in trouble with that. All right. Okay, well, everybody, I'm really pleased with this group and what you've done. I can't wait to see you again. And until then, just keep, doing your work. Think about your style guide. And so when you create new work in portfolio and things like that, if you really like your style guide, stick to it. You can change it, obviously, as you develop. But if you do like it and the work you create over the next year kind of follows that, then when you get to web design and when you are about to graduate, you'll have a brand, and your work will all look well together, and it will be memorable for others. All right, so that's something I recommend. Okay, all right, good job, everybody.